Hello everyone. We all talk about the miracle of Chanukah. But my question this year is, what is a miracle? I happened to read this week a letter written by a great teacher, Rabbi Baruch Shalom Ashlag, who was the firstborn son of the Baal Sulam, Rabbi Yedidah Ashlag. And he wrote this letter to a friend around the time of Chanukah. And what follows in the talk today is the main gist of the letter that he wrote. We see that our sages instituted two festivals which commemorate miracles by which the community of Israel was saved. One is Chanukah and the other is Purim. On Chanukah, we commemorate the miracle by lighting candles, and on Purim by reading the Megillah and holding a special festive meal. On Chanukah, certain special considerations apply with which how we celebrate the miracle which don't apply for Purim. For example, we place the candles outside the house or in a window facing outwards so that people outside should see the miracle. And the sages fixed that the time of lighting the candles is from dark until people have stopped going home from the marketplace. In other words, it seemed important to them that others should see the candlelight. Furthermore, concerning Chanukah, the sages asked, what is Chanukah? Whereas for Purim, the celebrations are both for ourselves and for others. The difference between these two festivals concerns the nature of a miracle which occurs in spirituality and one that occurs within the physical reality. And in any case, what is a miracle? We know that whatever follows the laws of nature is not actually considered a miracle, but that which goes against the laws of nature is considered a miracle. When we're looking at a person, we can see that whatever a person can do for himself is considered as going to the regular laws of nature. But if it is something beyond his power, then he does need a miracle. For example, if he has a sick relative and all the doctors have despaired of helping him, then a Jew prays and turns to God and says, Rabbi Baruch Shalom, Master of the world, there is no one else to help me, only you. Please make a miracle and heal my beloved one. And in this circumstance, when the sick person recovers, everyone can see that it is a miracle. From this example, we can understand what does a miracle consist of in the realm of spirituality. When a person is born, the ego, also known as the evil inclination, becomes part of him. As it is written in Genesis, sin is crouching at the doorway. Whereas our inclination to do good only enters at 13 years of age. The sages have said, a court should not hear the complaints of one side if the other side is not present, because then they are liable to be persuaded by the first plaintiff, and it might be hard for the second plaintiff to dislodge that first impression. Likewise, since the ego is the first within our personalities to express itself, it is very hard for us to hear the arguments of the good inclination. The ego was there first. We find that our good inclination is thrust aside. So in the language of the sages, we can say that the good inclination is in exile, and we are ruled by our ego. And the truth of the matter is that in our nature it isn't in our power to get out of this exile. Only the Holy Blessed One can help us. As the sages have said, the evil inclination prevails over a person every day and wants to kill him. If it were not for God's help, we would not be able to overcome it. So we can see that only God can help us overcome our evil inclination, and when he does, it is called a miracle. On a Chanukah, We say in our grace after meals an extra paragraph of praise during the 8 days, in which appears the sentence, "When the wicked kingdom of Greece stood up against your people to make them forget your Torah and to move them away from the statutes of your will." So this exile of Chanukah was about a spiritual war. As the Greeks, or their followers, the Hellenizers, wanted to dominate the people of Israel with their philosophy. In the famous song we sing, Maoz Tzor, it says, "The Greeks gathered against me and burst the wall of my tower." The Greeks tried to knock down the wall of faith, which is the Jews' defense against rationalization. Our faith is that the Holy Blessed One runs the world in the very best possible way, according to his holy name. Even when in our experience and in our perception this does not look the case, the Jew is able to say, "Even though I cannot see it, I believe that all that God does is good." The Greeks had a very attractive philosophy, and they burst this wall of faith. On their own, the Jews would not have been able to withstand the onslaught of rationalization and hold on to their faith, which is above logic. They would not have been able to withstand the doubts and disbelief. We see that, therefore, Chanukah is really a miracle of spirituality. However, events in spirituality are not obvious, and thus the sages asked, "What is Chanukah?" And every year we can also ask this question of ourselves: what is Chanukah for us? In what sense are we being bombarded with philosophies which don't really belong to us, which don't belong to the world of the soul and the inner world of faith? Where are we asking for our miracle? In order to answer this question, we need to look at our own spiritual exile in order to appreciate the spiritual redemption. And so we publicize the miracle to allow everyone to become interested and to question, what is Chanukah? What does it mean? Spiritual exile is a feeling. It may happen that in our past we've behaved in ways which actually felt all right at the time. And if at that time someone would have questioned us, we would have shrugged our shoulders and we would have said, "No, we feel all right with what we are doing." We did not at that time feel our spiritual exile. It is when we realise that our behaviour is not right, we notice our spiritual exile, we feel far away, only at that point can we pray for a miracle to help us. It is when we are sunk in the exile without noticing it or feeling it that we cannot pray for redemption. Noticing the exile, feeling far away, is the beginning of redemption, because then we can ask, what is Chanukah? Where do I feel the exile, so I can ask for the miracle of redemption? On the festival of Purim, we do not need to ask this question, because Purim was a miracle of our physical deliverance, and physical deliverance is obvious to everyone. But Chanukah is a spiritual miracle. We need to publicize the miracle with our candles, and each of us pray for the Chanukah miracle of our spiritual redemption this year. May we all receive the light of the Chanukah candle with our hearts, the miracle to light up our own personal inner exile and come to our own redemption.